What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Seed and Sparrow Homestead. As you can see, we are outside. We're back in the greenhouse right now. It's the only place outside that I can find a little bit of shade. So, on the agenda this week is cleaning up the garden, and today we're going to be harvesting whatever is ready, and there's a whole bunch of things that really need to be pulled because disease is creeping in. There's a whole lot of powdery mildew all over my garden. And you know, some things just need to be tidied. I probably picked the worst week to do this. We're supposed to be getting record highs for the next like 3 or 4 days. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning and it is already 82 degrees. I think it's supposed to get up close to 100 today. Really high humidity. It's gross. But this is just what I have, you know, on the docket this week. I don't really have any, you know, preservation things that really need to be done. That's why I'm harvesting today, so I can get some more things to preserve. So, we're just going to be taking a whole bunch of breaks today and making sure we're getting inside to the cool, drinking lots of water. But yeah. We're gonna just hang out in the garden today, see what we can find, see what we can clean up, and get this space looking a bit better. I have the kiddos in some shade. I've been moving the water table around to wherever the shade is currently at, so they're at least not in the sun right now. Okay, I found a little bit of shade here under the arch with all of my baby pumpkins. So I think what I'm gonna do is work this morning, and then we'll go in during the hotter part of the day. We have schoolwork to do. I'll get lunch and dinner figured out and done, and then tonight, after the sun goes in a bit, we'll come back out and work some more, and I might do that again tomorrow and the next day until I have some of this done. So I did want to give you a bit of a realistic look at my garden in September. During most of August, it's just the height of preservation season, and the garden really just gets overlooked, and that is a necessity, at least for me in my stage of life with all of my responsibilities. There's bumblebees fighting behind me. With all of my responsibilities, you know, you just kind of have to pick and choose. We only have so many hours in a day, and you have to prioritize. And the garden just kind of has to take a back seat. So in doing that, weeds really start to take over, disease starts to settle in, and you know, with some things, it's just, you know, they've run their course. Their life is over, and you can tell what those things are as we go around. So let's just take a look at what is going on in the garden in September. So here is an overview of the front of the no-dig and raised bed garden. You can see the Rompicante squash has just really taken over. It's done its thing. I ended up chopping off the tips of the vine so that it would stop producing, because there's probably at least 20 of these in here. And this is my first year growing them. I don't even know if I like them. So we're gonna see. Right now I am curing them on the vine, and we're gonna see how they taste in some baked goods to determine whether or not I'm going to continue growing them. Like, they're hidden everywhere in here. I think there's some down in here in the flower bed. I think there's some on top of my sweet potato bed. They really just did their thing. My snapdragons did not do well in this location this year. They hardly bloomed at all. I'm not sure if it was just too hot of a summer for them. Really don't know what happened there, but I think I'm going to try them in a different place next year, because last year I had great success with them. They were beautiful, gave me constant flushes. Here is a new bed of potatoes where you can see just all of the weeds that have taken over. Hanging baskets that have pretty much completely died, except for the vinca vine, because I did not water them. Peas that I let go to seed that have since dried, I have yet to harvest the seed, so we're going to see if there's anything still salvageable in there or if they've all just completely rotted. Tomatoes that I was pruning regularly, I was tying them up regularly, and then I just got too overwhelmed with other stuff. And now they've just kind of slumped over and grown into my strawberry bed. And speaking of strawberries, can we just talk about how wild these strawberries are? There are so many runners. This is what both of my strawberry beds look like. So let's talk real quick about strawberries. This is a newly planted strawberry bed. I got 50 plants early this spring and they all went in here. This is a 4 by 10 foot bed. So as you can see, they have multiplied greatly, which is awesome. They're nice and healthy. They're starting to bloom again, and we're getting some more strawberries now. These are an everbearing strawberry. I believe the variety is EV2, and I got them from Norse Farms. So the way strawberries work, if you are new to strawberries, so all of the plants that went in this spring are the mother plants. The mother plants, once they get established, will send off runners, or like little baby strawberry plants, and I'm gonna show you that. All right, so in here, well, you can see this with this lighting. In here, this is one strawberry plant right here. This one strawberry plant, as you can see, has sent off these 3 runners, which have trickled down the bed here, and the runner will then root. So it has rooted into my wood chip walkway here. And now this is a second strawberry plant. And then that one has sent off another runner over there to this one. And that's a third strawberry plant, and it just keeps going. So with strawberries, they kind of start to peter out after about 3 years. You will start to see smaller harvests, see smaller strawberries in general from those older plants. They will continue to bear, but you're just gonna see smaller and smaller yields. So what I like to do is, now this is a first year bed, so I'm just gonna come through here and I am going to sever the ties from all of these runners to the mother plant. And I'm just going to let these mother plants focus their energy back on themselves and not all of these babies. So I'm just gonna come through here and chop all of those runners off. Now, if I had the space, an extra bed or something, I would take these runners and I would transplant them into another area. I don't have any room this year, so they'll either be going to friends, maybe I'll see if I can sell some, or they're just gonna go into the compost pile. So that's what I do with a new bed. I just allow all of the mother plants in there, and I will continue to do that for the next 2 years. The 3rd year, once they send off their runners, what I am going to do is, once those runners have rooted, I am going to take the mother plants out of this bed, and I'm going to replace them with the baby runner plants to kind of constantly keep replenishing my strawberry plants. So that way I'm always getting bigger harvests and nice, big, healthy strawberries. So I will just come in here and I will just chop these off. And then I will take these out, make sure to dig down deep. You don't want to tear at the roots, and they will get given away to friends, or they're going to go to the compost pile this year. The only reason I would use some of these runners this year in this bed is if I see a plant that is diseased. I will take that out and I will replace it with a healthy runner. So for this strawberry bed and the one we were just talking at up there, they're going to stay this way probably until maybe October, late October, because the friends I'm giving them to don't have their spaces ready for them yet. And honestly, it's really hot right now to be transplanting things. I'm gonna wait until it cools down so that way they don't deal with as much shock and as much pressure from high temps. So this mess behind me is one of my beds of raspberries. I had originally planted 8 raspberry canes in here, and they have multiplied exponentially. We do have raspberry supports in there. We need to adjust them this coming fall because the heights just weren't right and the width wasn't quite right. So it wasn't catching everything and keeping them more upright. They are just all flopping off to the side. So you can kind of see our raspberry support system there. On each side of the bed there is a single post with 2 cross pieces of wood on there, and then they have wires and eye hooks trying to hold up all of these canes. But we need to make it wider. Where I had originally planted them was in the center, but they've just multiplied so much that we need to make it wider. And I am going to be pruning this all the way back to the ground this winter. And then they'll just grow new canes for a bigger fall harvest next year. I may try and divide some of these out as well to give to friends. I know Heather would like some, and I mean, there's just so many in here. So I'm probably gonna chop them back to about a foot tall, see if I can successfully pull any of them out without damaging their roots. And then once I have a few, I am just gonna take them all the way down to the ground. Should be much easier to manage next year, because I mean, this is just a raspberry jungle, but it has been very prolific. I think I'm up to 9 gallons of raspberries in my freezer right now. In here, the kale is still looking lush. I am gonna taste it just to make sure it hasn't gone bitter with how hot it has been. If it still tastes good, I'm gonna harvest a bunch. Otherwise, I'm gonna pull this out, give it to the chickens, and then we will replant some more kale for fall. Over here we have the rhubarb, all of my asparagus. Next year is the 3rd year, so I get to harvest some of it then. Another bed of potatoes were planted. I'm still waiting on the leeks to fully mature. And then over here, some of those cosmic cherry petunias. Some dahlias that I learned this year really need supports. They've all fallen over, so note to self, support them next year. And my banana peppers are loving this heat, as are the rest of my peppers. On this end, a jungle has formed. I had flowers in each of these beds and 1 tomato plant per bed. And the cages have just not done their job this year. Someone commented I need to actually stake the cages as well. So if I decide to use cages again, then I guess I will have to do that. But the tomatoes have just fallen into each other. I need to work on that. There's a whole bunch of flowers in here that are just done. Need to pull them. What else we got going on? Big old bed of weeds that need to be pulled. And then this vine here is all cucumbers that is just done for, so those need to get pulled as well. I have quite a few big old basil plants. These are just the Genevese. I should really make some more pesto. Got 3 big ones in here. I have I don't have pesto planted. I have basil planted in between all this row of tomatoes that I could preserve if I want to. Oh, and let me show you what's going on here. So this arch here is where I planted my Jack B. Little pumpkins. They're all in there. They did really well. So if you remember when I was planting this, like back in April, I think I put the seeds in. I planted some loofah gourd seeds here that never did anything. And now, of course, I find that they did do something, and I have 2 loofahs growing, and I'm really hoping that they make it to maturity because I'm all out of my loofah sponges. All right, that pretty much wraps up what is going on in the no-dig raised bed area. Let me give you an overview of the garden here up front and show you what's going on in there a bit closer. All right, here is the up front garden. Everything has just reached jungle stage. So I actually did a bit of work here not that long ago. I pulled out all of the dead sunflowers that were in this patch here. I pulled out some of the dead nasturtium, left some of them, and they put on a second flush. They look nice and healthy now, so there's still a little bit of color up here. This is one row of raspberries on this side, and there's another row on that side. And there you can see our support system a bit better. So I think I showed this to you in a recent video, all of my tomato cages that have fallen over. These are all of my, not all of, these are 6 of my paste tomato plants in here. There's a little bit of harvesting that needs to be done there. Got some more jalapenos here that have fallen over that can be harvested. So on this obelisk here, I had planted a cantaloupe, which has failed miserably. This is literally my 6th year trying to grow any sort of melon, and I know a lot of people in my area struggle with this. They just don't do well. For some reason, they always get disease and die before anything can really happen, which is what happened here again. So this is gonna get torn out today. Back behind there, I've got all of my zucchini plants. I just picked 3 off of there yesterday, so they're still doing okay. No disease, no squash bugs, no vine borers, anything like that this year, which is amazing. Got the toothache plant down in there, really doing its thing. It's quite massive. And then in here, I still have some celery that need to be harvested. These are all Brussels sprouts. I'm not sure if these are going to pan out or not. Let's take a closer look. So I had been doing really well with pulling off the leaves for the expansion of the Brussels sprouts growing. But then things got busy and I haven't taken off anymore. So I think I'm gonna do that today. I don't know if like these go bitter with the heat or anything. I haven't had success growing them yet. Like this is about as big as they ever get. You can just see how small it is compared to my finger. So if you know, if I leave these go, like are they gonna get bigger? Are they gonna be okay in the heat? Over here is where we harvested potatoes, so that's just sitting empty right now. And then in here is where I was trying to grow a pumpkin archway, but none of my pumpkins really did anything this year. I counted 4 of the butternut squash. I have 2 candy roasters and 1, I think this is a Long Island cheese. Not totally sure anymore. Found another candy roaster growing up there. These just did not do well here. I think it's just too shaded. The ones that I had planted here just completely died. They did not do well at all. And I've had great success with pumpkins and squash in the past. So I think this location just does not suit them. So here is the cottage garden. I have gone in there and pulled out some weeds, a whole bunch of the spent calendula. There's a lot in here that needs to be taken out too. Here's a bit better look at that space. So you can see back here, there are just weeds. There are more weeds than there are plants. They're all plants, Kelsey. There's more weeds than there are, like, things I actually planted. There's still some beauty to be found, of course, but there are just a lot of weeds that I just can't manage at this time. My once magnificent patch of zinnias is really looking sad. This year it was really taken over by powdery mildew. It is all over these leaves. They've all just kind of withered. So this entire thing is just gonna get chopped down, unfortunately, but it is what it is. All right, we are going to pick from the paste tomatoes here at the garage. One of you said in my last video, just know I do read all of your comments and I thank you so much for that. It really helps boost the video. I just don't always have time to respond to every single one. I try to be active for at least the first day, and and then as I have time after that. But anyways, one of you said you appreciated how I showed the before of like the abundance on the table, and then the after product and how much that abundance actually gave me when it was cooked down and preserved. And I think people don't realize just how much you have to grow in order to have enough to eat throughout the winter until the next harvest season. It takes a lot. Tomatoes cook down to practically nothing. And you know, I have, oh, there's a big spider web. It's a funky one. I have people that I know personally say to me, like, what are you trying to feed an army? Or people who have driven by and stopped, or said something to my husband like, what, are you guys preparing for the apocalypse? No, I'm just trying to feed my family until next harvest season. It's really not that much. I preserve everything that comes out of this garden, and I've gotten it to the place where what I am actually able to grow here, I can't grow everything, that's just not possible. What I am actually able to grow and focus on here for a family, I've gotten to the place where it will last us until next harvest season. I'm trying to keep track of those things. Now it'll be different for every family, your needs, your likes, your growing conditions, but I'm trying to keep track of how much I'm growing and how much it has yielded me, just to help you guys out. If you're just starting out and you have no idea where to begin and how much to grow, I'm hoping at some point at the end of this season to compile everything together for you. Alright, now we are going to grab our slicers. I see a whole bunch of.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of bumblebees.
Oh, no,
What's wrong with it? It looks good. Do you want to put them in the bucket for me? You want to put them in? Look. Do you want to put it in the bucket for me?
Yes.
Thank you. Uh-oh, I dropped one. Here you go. You want to put them in?
Whoa.
It's not broke. Would you like to put them in? Thank you.
2.
2. Oh, Grant, look at this one. It's big. Big tomato.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Come on.
What, baby?
Come on.
I don't know what you're saying.
Day.
It's mushy? It's not mushy. All right. 1 bucket. All right, we're gonna grab the rest of these slicers in this jungle here. So these big old yellow tomatoes here are Dr. Witchies, or however you pronounce that. They've been my favorite for a while now. I prefer yellow tomatoes to red tomatoes because they're a bit sweeter and less acidic. But now I am finding they may have been replaced by the peach Wapsipinicon, I think I said that right, tomato. One of you said to wait until a little pink X, like a cross, has formed at the base of those, and oh my goodness, are they sweet. So good. These really aren't looking so hot anymore. Lots of, looks like blight. I'm gonna have to get these out of here soon. So a few of you have asked me how many tomato plants I am growing, and I have about 16 taste tomato plants. I have 10 slicers and 3 cherries. And so far, without looking at my notes, I believe it's 250 pounds that I have gotten off those plants for preserving. That does not count what we had been eating fresh or what I had given away. Now, it will help when preserving if you're looking for volume to grow meatier tomatoes that have less liquid in them. And that's where a lot of your paste tomatoes will come in handy. I currently grow pink ox heart, Hungarian heart, Romas, and Amish paste. And I like all of those varieties. They've done really well for me. I haven't had any issues with blossom end rot either. Now, I probably could have gotten an even bigger yield if I would have taken better care of the plants, but I try and account for that because I know this happens every year. I just get really busy. So I always plant extra. And we still have quite a bit of the season left to go. We got another almost full bucket of tomatoes. I'm gonna grab the mild jalapenos that are right here and put them on top of here to separate them from the not jalapenos. I'm gonna grab what other Ajvarski peppers I can find here. There's a whole bunch of green ones still on here, so I'll have another harvest at some point. I'm gonna throw the jalapenos that are decent size, or these are not jalapenos. I'll throw them in here with the Ajvarski. What you doing, baby? What do you want, sweetie? Where's there? Where do you want to go? I think Mommy got all the big ones. Got just a handful of the jalapenos, maybe 5 or 6 of the Ajvarski, and a few straggler bell peppers. I think that'll be the last from the bells. See what's left here in the banana peppers. It's starting to become unbearably hot, so I'm probably gonna go inside for a few hours until it cools off for the evening. Alright, we're gonna check, see what jalapenos are in the weeds here. Looks like there's a whole bunch. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with these, to be completely honest. I think every year I grow more peppers than I know what to do with. I need to stop that, but probably won't listen to myself. Some of these rompicante squash are already cured on the vine. I can't stick my fingernail into them anymore, so they can come off. There's probably like another 8 or 10 down there. So I'm just going to take these off, leaving some of the stem. Boy, these are... There we go. Man, these are heavy. They were really weighing that down. This probably weighs a good 8-10 pounds. They're heavy. So there are 11 of these rompicante squash. I really hope I like them. There's probably another 8 on the vine, so we'll have some more yet. I am going to chop off the vines, like right here down the middle of this trellis, and take away all of these vines and the dying leaves, clean it up a bit. I have a climber rose over here. that is kind of competing with some of these vines. I want to take those vines away, and I want to secure the rows to the trellis. I'm hiding at the back of the property right now, trying to find some shade. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it with the harvesting today. I think I'll have my hands full. I could harvest some celery and chard. I have kale and a whole bunch of different herbs and flowers I could grab, but I'm going to save that for another day. And now I'm just going to use this time to start tidying things up, pruning things back, pulling some things out. So, gonna get started. So the main reason I wanted to share my garden with you in the state it currently is, I just want to be real with you. I don't ever want you to think that I've got it all figured out, because believe me, I don't. I hope it's encouraging to you if you're in the same boat and your garden looks somewhat like mine. You know, I'm just a super busy mama with lots on my plate, and my focus has to shift from a well-kept garden to preserving what it gives. And sometimes it's hard to look around and see projects that aren't finished and things that are not getting checked off the to-do list, and a garden space that I love and enjoy not looking so hot. I came to terms with the season of life I'm in a while ago, and I have just learned to give myself some grace, especially during August and September. You know, maybe one day when my babies are grown, I'll have a picture-perfect garden. But I'm not wishing away these days. I will take the weeds and the jungle. The garden usually has its time to shine during May, June, and July, and I savor it all during that time. But after that, the time I once gave to its upkeep gets devoted to putting food away. I started putting videos up about a year ago, and over the course of that year, I have had so many people ask me how I get it all done, and the completely honest answer to that is I don't. We all have the same amount of time each day. We all have 24 hours, and I just try my best and use them well. And sometimes that means letting the garden go, or having piles of laundry, or ordering takeout. It's all good. Some seasons are just busier and harder and more tiring and even frustrating. And sometimes you need to prioritize, shift your mindset a bit, and let the weeds do their thing. So here I am attaching my climbing rose to this trellis. I like to use these little clips that I get off of Amazon. So from my research, it said the best practice for training a climbing rose, and yes, I just got myself with a thorn, is to attach them horizontally, and that triggers the plant to send off shoots from that branch vertically, and you get a bushier, bigger plant. We'll see if that's true. All right, that's looking just a little bit better. We got the rose attached to the trellis. We cleaned up the rampicante vine, took out all the dead stuff. I weeded this flower bed, and I gave all of the snapdragons a haircut. Maybe they'll give me another flush. They can handle a frost, so we'll see what happens there. And then I weeded in here at the sweet potatoes, and I took down the cucumber. All right, so it is the next day after I finished up cleaning up that one little corner of the garden. It was time for me to come in and make dinner, so I focused on that. And then when my husband got home, we decided we were going to take the kids to get some ice cream and go to the playground. And then by the time we got home, it was about 8 o'clock, and then we had to get the kids baths and get them to bed, and it was just too late to do anything outside. So I'm picking it back up today. Although today it is like ridiculously disgusting outside. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, it's 90 degrees and about 80% humidity. And I just don't really want to be out there at all. Hi, I think you're all done. Okay, let's go put that in the sink. So, I am just going to work a little bit out there today. and whatever I get done, and that will be the end of what we do together, because I've got a Zoom call I have to get on today, we've got homeschool we have to do, I have some appointments later tonight, so I won't be able to get back out tonight. And tomorrow's Thursday, and that's my editing day, so we'll see how much we get done today. So you guys have to hold me accountable. Two things I am no longer growing are melons and cucamelons. The melons just don't do well for me here, and it's always a wasted space. And the cucamelons, we just don't really enjoy. I think they're fun to grow and cool to look at, but we just don't eat them. Sorry, the sun is really bright in my eyes. I'm gonna work on these 2 flower beds here and the one next to it. I'm gonna tear out the ones that are just pretty much done. I might save a few of the dried heads on these for some seed saving. This is Scabiosa. I'm gonna tear this out. There's a couple of heads here that are dried I'm gonna save. There's some cosmos that's dead, some hollyhock that's dead, so I'm just going to see if I can save some seeds and then get them out of the beds. So this is my 6th year gardening, but this is actually my 1st year growing in this space, the way that it is laid out. We redesigned the garden last year, so this is all new growing area. And I'm just discovering how I want this space to look and what grows well in here. I'm always tossing back and forth whether I want like a streamlined, tidy space where like things are planted with like, or if I want like this wild jungle of just interplanted things all over. And I like aspects of both. But in some of these areas in the no-dig space, I really do think I want to choose some more low profile flowers, things that don't flop all over. You know, they hold their shape a bit better, and I really want to consider height differences next year because some things, you know, shaded out others, and, you know, it just wasn't so pleasing to the eye as it could have been. You know, I'm not going to get super particular about it, but I am just noticing I'd like to spend a bit more time planning out what goes where. I'm pretty sure this year I just kind of ran out of time and things just got haphazardly planted wherever there was room. And of course, I tried to grow all of the things. So some of the spacing definitely was too tight, even though I am definitely a fan of high intensity planting. Some of these things really needed a bit more space to breathe. So that still looks pretty unruly, but it is what it is. We're gonna just go with it, let things run their course. I want to save some seeds from that white cupcake Cosmo, so at least I can kind of walk around it now. So I'm going to do the same thing to that patch right there. Okay, I got both sides cleaned up a little bit. There's clear walkways all the way around, and I am stinking hot. Okay, one of the last things I'm gonna do today is clear out the zinnia patch. There's a few heads that I want to save, so I'm gonna clip them off, and then I'm just gonna chop all these off at the base and go stick them on the compost pile. Well, actually, no, I'm not sticking them on the compost pile because there's disease all over them. I'm gonna stick them over in the burn pile. And then after that, the only other thing I'm putting on my list to do today out here is harvest the raspberries. I didn't get around to it last night, so there's a whole bunch this morning that need to be picked. This is gonna be a mess. So this big old knife is actually my husband's machete that he got from the army surplus store. I think I use it more than he does. It comes in handy in the garden. All right, you all just heard that rooster. That is a new rooster. We had two. We got rid of one. We kept one. And now we have another one. Every year we get chicks in the spring. We get pullets. And every time there's a rooster in the mix. What gives? If I'm being honest, I'm pretty much done with roosters right now until we get more land. Our big guy's a bit excessive on the crowing, and I'm pretty sure the one morning I counted 52 times every 30 seconds. That's a bit much for me. All right, Grant and I had to call it quits out there. It was just too hot. We had to come in and get a rinse-off shower. We were just soaked, sweated. It was really gross. We were only out there for about an hour, and that's good today. I don't need to go back out. I'm pleased with what I got done. Got a few things tidied up, some seeds that we're gonna save, and I got my harvest to work on over the next couple of days, preserving all of that. So I'm gonna continue on with my day, getting all the things done. I hope you all enjoyed coming along with me. I hope it was somewhat encouraging to see a real look at what the garden looks like in September, and to know you are not alone if yours looks like that too. So you all take care and have a blessed day, and I'll see you next time.